Let's talk about breakfast burritos. Welcome back to Sprung on Food. I'm your host, Kae Sprung. This season, we're talking about favorite foods, the history behind it, and the role it plays in the world today. Joining me today is writer and comedian Mark Rennie. Mark, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk about one of my favorite foods.
Well, I'm very excited that you are here to talk about breakfast burritos. I've got to know, what is your relationship with this food? Tell me all about it and why it's your favorite.
Well, I think it's like a perfect food. It's also one of these foods like you can make it at home pretty easily, but also it's never a bad choice in a restaurant. And I think what I like about it's also really hard to mess up a breakfast burrito.
Have you ever had a bad breakfast burrito?
Not that I can recall. It's been a while.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, maybe if it's too dry, if it's like rice heavy, I also like a bit of I like sour cream in it. A lot of times they give you a little, like, what do you call a racumen? What are those called?
A little ramekin. Those they look like little mini shot glasses.
Yeah, like just a hint of sour cream. I'm like, come on, what are you doing? But
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. I do love. I don't know. Because I love a tortilla, but I think almost like a breakfast burrito is almost my ideal version of the burrito. And what I was thinking about, like, why do I like them so much? I do love. You can have something hot and cold in them and something soft and crunchy in them, like all in one bite. And I think that every bite is like a fun bite. And if you get some like salsa in there, you get some heat and then the cool of the sour cream. It just is kind of everything you want out of a dish, but wrapped in a tortilla.
It hits all the notes.
It hits all the notes. And I think that's just really pleasing. And the other day, I've been on a real tear, having like meeting friends. I love meeting friends for breakfast these days, but going out and having a breakfast burrito, and then we get pancakes for the table. And like that way you get a little bit of everything.
The pancakes for the table is always just such a hero move. I feel like when somebody does it, you're like, this person knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yes. Do you have any favorite spots that you like to get these breakfast burritos at?
The last good one I had was it's just like a little diner. I think there's only 2 locations. I'm in Glendale, California, and it's a place called BB's. And they had 3 different kinds of breakfast burritos, which normally you go to a place, they just have one kind.
Yeah.
But there was like a California one that had like the avocado and tater tots. And then there was another one that was like had chili in it, which I thought that was a bold choice.
Yeah. How did you try that one?
I did not.
Silently judged it from the title.
I silently judged, but tipped my hat to whoever would order that. You're doing the good work, good sir. Or ma'am.
It's the 90s. Yes.
Thank you. But I just got like they brought it out. I was not expecting this. I don't think I've ever seen this before. But they brought it out wet, with the sauce drizzled on top with a little cheese melted. And I've seen that in other burritos, but I don't know if how common that is for a breakfast burrito. But I found it pretty delightful.
Yeah, they were kind of going rogue, but also maybe experimenting and just seeing like, let's see if the people are into this. I guess you haven't tried it to know, but from the menu standpoint, yes. But do you feel empowered, maybe even after this, to go and sample it?
It does always feel a little weird to me, though. I'm always like, I do like when it's served wet. That's fun, but it does then feel weird to like, I have to eat this with a knife and fork.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the sacrifice you must make with a wet burrito. You can't use your hands.
Right, which kind of is part of its charm too, the portability of it. But I suppose if you're sitting down in a restaurant, maybe that doesn't matter as much, or is that just not the user experience you want in a burrito?
I guess an ideal, like the platonic ideal of a burrito is I'm picking it up.
Okay, that's fair. Any places that deserve a shout out?
Oh, there's a place called Lemon Poppy in Glassell Park in East LA that does a very good. They only do one breakfast burrito. They're the place that had the little tiny ramekin of sour cream, but it was good sour cream. But then they do great pastries there. So I did order an apple Danish as a breakfast burrito chaser.
Ooh la la. I love it.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah, balance. It's the key to life. Now, you said that it's easy to make too, which I appreciate. Do you have your own signature way of making a breakfast burrito when you get to do it yourself?
I do, but I'm real lazy. Like when it comes, I don't like spending more time cooking the thing than it takes me to eat the thing.
I feel that.
You
Okay.
know what I mean?
Yes.
So I have a comal for my sister-in-law, which is the ideal way to heat up a tortilla, warm up a
Okay.
tortilla.
Oh, I'm not that into doing that. And then you have like the most sophisticated,
Is it
perfect.
sophisticated?
Yes.
It's
Who?
just a cast
I,
iron shallow pan.
I know, but not a lot of people can say that they have that.
I mean, if
So
you like
give yourself
tortillas,
more
you
credit.
gotta have. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes.
I used to
Yes.
like, you just put it on top directly of like the stove top and like, let's hope I
Mm,
don't burn the apartment down.
sure.
But once you have a comal, it's like, oh, why haven't I been doing this forever? So I just do
Yes.
that and I scramble eggs, maybe a little hash brownie situation, and then like turkey patty, shredded cheese, sour cream, and then like there's a verde Cholula
Mm,
sauce. That's about as spicy as I can get as Cholula.
that's okay.
But that's
Yeah.
that makes a pretty handy dandy. That's a pretty nice little breakfast burrito that I can make in like 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Is
Now
that
before we
fast?
started, we had just mentioned the show Chopped. I think you should probably go if you can whip
You
up something
think?
that
I'm really
fabulous in 10 minutes.
I
Man
mean, these are
alive.
frozen turkey sausages that I'm just throwing in a pan.
Okay. I mean, don't disparage your
Okay.
fine work. I mean, but the thought that goes into it and having to execute it all, it sounds fabulous. So,
It's
and
pretty good.
you probably don't skimp on the sour cream either. So,
I don't. And also the nice thing about a breakfast burrito, like you can do just egg and sour cream. I think that would count as a burrito. Would it like if you're wrapping it, is it then anything a burrito?
it could be.
And
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
think
still just as satisfying. Avocado is also that's another good addition.
yeah, just for that creaminess. It doesn't do a ton of flavor enhancing, but just another
Again,
textural component.
yeah. I think I'm big on like texture. Like
Yeah.
I like creamy and crunchy at the same time, which is why I love
Yes.
like an ice cream sundae. If you could get some
Uh,
crunch in there, like a waffle cone or something.
100% agreed. I'm in the very, very small minority of people who don't really love ice cream that much. I mean, I
Sure.
will if you put it in front of me, like I won't say no, but it's never
Yeah.
something I go out of my way to order. But what I will say is if I'm gonna eat it, I love a mix in or like a real
Mm.
like kind of chunky ingredient
Yes.
situation in there, a la
Yeah.
like the Ben and Jerry's where they just have like a
Hmm.
ton of shit in there, and it just makes
Yeah.
it to me just so much more it's a more interesting bite, and then you get the mix of the different flavors in there, so you won't find me terribly excited about just vanilla in a dish, but something like that, like you mentioned, or a sundae, I can get
Come
on board
on.
with.
Give me some hot fudge on there. Come on.
Yes. Yes. Well, while this isn't about Sundays, although I do
Please.
love talking about desserts, we are here to talk about your breakfast burrito. And
Okay.
to fully understand and appreciate our food, we've got to know where it came from. What's warm, portable, endlessly customizable, and capable of turning your day around faster than you can say extra guac? That's right, the burrito. A dish so mighty it can handle breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even dessert, all without breaking a sweat. But where did this tortilla wrap legend come from? We're about to unwrap the history of the burrito. Now, we must go back, way back, to the ancient days of Mesoamerica. Picture it: the Maya and Aztecs grinding maize, cooking it into tortillas that served as both food and dishware. They didn't call it a burrito, but the tortilla basically is the OG edible plate. Convenient? Absolutely. Delicious? You bet. Sure, there was no Instagram back then to show off cross sections and perfectly rolled wraps, but the concept of bundling food in a tortilla? Genius. These early wraps were essentially the ancestors of the burrito, humble yet ahead of their time. In fact, they weren't called tortillas to begin with. The name tortilla didn't come about until the Spanish arrived in the 16th century. When the conquistadors encountered these flatbreads, they named them tortillas, meaning little cakes in Spanish. But before that, at some point around 3500 BCE, someone had a genius idea: boiling maize with an alkaline substance like limestone or ash. This process, called nixtamalization, unlocked a range of benefits: made the kernels easier to grind, improved the flavor, boosted the nutritional value by releasing niacin, vitamin B3, and increased the dough's stickiness, making it perfect for shaping. Mark, were you familiar with this process of nixtamalization or what it was?
I never even heard of this, but I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but it sounds fascinating. Like, how did they figure out the nutritional benefits back then? I'm just curious, like how that, what these geniuses, how they figured that out.
I know. Most things to me, especially in food history, are such a wonder because I feel like a lot of them had to happen as mistakes, like
Yeah.
amazing mistakes to even figure
Hmm.
out that something would work and then it was also okay and healthy for you. It blows my mind too. I had no idea.
And they probably had a lot more time on their hands, They had a lot of downtime, or maybe they were busier, but I maybe think they had a lot more down. Like, well, I've never put this thing and this pot together. Let's see what happens. What's the worst that could happen?
Right. They didn't have the internet as a way to distract them, so they had, you're
No.
right, probably plenty of time to just play around and see what happened.
And it's also like talk about a food that's lasted, that's like stood the test of time.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I don't think that there's been, and maybe there doesn't, right? Like if it's not broke, don't fix it. There hasn't
Hmm.
been a ton of innovation on it since. I mean, granted, I was not there in 3,500 BCE
Fair
to
enough.
have experienced it, but I can imagine it's probably maintained its integrity all this time.
Yeah, there's not much you can do with the tortilla, despite what Taco Bell would have you believe with their
Right.
Crunchwrap Supreme. Does it need
Uh,
to be a hexagon? I don't know, but
right.
but I mean, I think the classic tube is just perfect for the hand, and there's something nice about like something uniting humanity through all
Oh,
centuries of time. We all love eating tubes of meat bread.
amen. Is that written somewhere? If
It
not,
should
it
be
should be on a
Statue
t-shirt.
of
Yes.
Liberty. Okay.
Yeah, yes. The lesser known saying, of
Yes.
course. Well, nixtamalized maize, called nixtamal, was ground into a dough known as masa. With the masa ready to roll, indigenous cooks would pat it into thin, round discs. These discs were cooked on a flat, heated clay surface called a mark.
Comal.
Kamal. Ding, ding,
Yay!
ding. And boom, the tortilla was born. Soft, flexible, and durable, it quickly became the backbone of Mesoamerican cuisine, serving as a plate, scoop, and edible wrap all in one. Fast forward to the 19th century, where our beloved burrito finally gets its name, burrito, which means, Mark, do you know what it means in Spanish?
Little donkey.
Yes, it means little donkey in Spanish. Why? Great question. Theories abound. One, burritos resemble the bedrolls and packs donkeys carried. Two, they're like donkeys themselves, hardworking, versatile, and capable of carrying a lot of stuff. Or three, street vendors in Mexico sold them from carts or donkeys, and apparently branding wasn't a priority back then. Mark, which of these examples maybe resonates the most with you? And if none of them, what do you think was the origin story of the burrito for the
I
name?
mean, I just something about the idea that this food item is hardworking. It's like, what does that mean? It's hard work. Like it's a state. It doesn't move. It doesn't. I like. I guess, but I like the bedroll thing. Just visually, like that made sense to me. Like the first one
Right.
you said, that one just like, oh yes, it does look like a rolled up bedroll that
Yes.
you want to put in your mouth for
Yeah.
once.
Yes. All those times we were looking at it before and didn't know what to do about it. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, for whatever the reason, the first official nod to the burrito comes from an 1895 Mexican dictionary, which described a dish from Guanajuato made with a tortilla wrapped around meat or other fillings. Simple, satisfying, and donkey approved. Rooted in the idea that burritos stand apart from tacos, a variety of myths and folk tales about their origins have emerged, with many of these stories tracing back to the United States. One of these stories brings us to the Mexican Revolution, 1910 to 1920, when Juan Mendez, a street vendor in Chihuahua, stepped onto the culinary battlefield. Juan had a problem: how to keep his food warm while selling it to hungry revolutionaries. His solution? Wrap meat, beans, and rice in a giant tortilla, and the burrito, in its modern-ish form, was born. It was portable, it was hearty, it was, quite frankly, a revelation. Soldiers loved it, Juan got famous, and the burrito became the star of practical, delicious eats. Mark, we were talking about how sometimes things come up by accident. Have you ever made a culinary creation of your own that was incredible?
Not that that was incredible, but once I did bake cookies and I forgot when I took them out of the oven, I was like, why did they like look like melted globs? And it's like, then I looked at the counter, I was like, oh, there's like the mixed flour and baking soda that didn't put in the dough.
Oh no.
So that was
Did you
not
try them?
incredible. No, there was just like crispy butter. It was like nothing.
I'm curious though, when you were making it in the bowl, sans the dry ingredients,
Yes.
were you like this still looks fine.
I might
I'll
have been under
portion it
the
out.
influence of
Okay.
our herbal friend, but
You
I'm
should do a
very much.
series.
I know. I'm very much like when it comes to like cooking and baking, I'm very much like a rule follower. Like I'm
Yes,
very
yes.
much like, well, I'm going to, especially with baking, like you
You
need to
have
follow
to
the
be.
rules.
Yes, you are
And like as soon
correct.
as I get like, I will like double my sister. For every like Christmas, my family waits for me to come home to make the cookies because like I'll make cookies. I love
Your
following the
signature
recipe.
cookies or
No,
different
I'll
cookies?
just do like, what do we want to do? What are we feeling? We'll do a or just like the Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookies. Like you can't go
Sure.
wrong with
No,
those.
they're
But
delicious.
I think the bag always says like only use half or something. My sister was always, we'll only use half the chips. I'm like, are you nuts? We're gonna double
Yes.
up the chips. Are you
Yes.
crazy? So I think
Yes.
sometimes I will double the amount of chips.
Yeah, I don't think that's a rule you can break. You can
Right?
be liberal about that. It's not gonna more is more in
No
that
one's ever
department as far
said
as
this cookie has too many chocolate chips. I don't think anyone's ever
right,
said that.
right. And if they do, they don't deserve to eat them.
Thank you. No
Yes, you're
cookie for
welcome.
you.
Yes, more for all of us who love the chocolate chips.
I've also been really into the last few years snickerdoodles. And I've
Okay,
yet to
that's
make a snickerdoodle, but like a really good snickerdoodle really hits.
yeah. Well, maybe this is the inspiration you needed. I
Thank you.
expect a full report back along with pictures.
Okay. And that'd be a
Okay.
nice follow up to a breakfast burrito because it's kind of churro esque, a
Yeah,
snickerdoodle.
it's got the cinnamon in there.
We're keeping it
Ah,
local.
okay. Yes, perfect. You've just created a delightful meal. Thank you for
Right.
that. Well, as burritos gained popularity in Mexico, they naturally moseyed across the border into the US in the early 20th century. In Texas and California, they adapted to American ingredients and tastes. California, of course, took things to the next level. By the 1930s, Los Angeles' El Cholo Spanish Cafe was slinging burritos to eager diners. The burrito's first big media break came in 1934 when it appeared in The Mexican Cookbook by historian Erna Ferguson. Her collection of New Mexico recipes gave the burrito its American literary debut, cementing its status as more than just street food. It was now cookbook worthy. Then came the burrito's blockbuster moment, the Mission-style burrito, born in San Francisco's Mission District during the 1960s and 1970s. Oversized, foil-wrapped, and stuffed with everything. Rice, beans, meat, salsa, sour cream, guac, you name it. The Mission Burrito was more than food, it was a statement. A deliciously heavy, two-handed statement. By now, burritos were living their best lunch and dinner lives. But what about breakfast? Enter the 1970s and Tia Sophia's, a Santa Fe, New Mexico restaurant that boldly asked, what if we fill a tortilla with eggs, bacon, and potatoes? The result? The breakfast burrito, a creation so good it practically deserves its own national holiday because guess what? Burritos already have one. National Burrito Day is celebrated on the first Thursday of April, in case you were wondering. Mark, have you been celebrating National Burrito Days?
Unintentionally, I suppose. I mean, it's not rare I get a burrito at least one a week. So
Ah,
it's entirely possible the first Thursday of April I got a burrito. That would not be I'd say the odds are maybe 25% that at some point in my life I had a
huh.
burrito on National Burrito Day. But now I know going forward.
Yes, now you can make a specific effort to honor the day. There currently, as far as I can tell, is not a National Breakfast Burrito Day. What
Okay.
day do you think that should be?
I mean, it should be a Sunday. That makes sense. That feels like a
Oh,
breakfast
okay.
day.
Okay.
We don't need the Lord can share.
Yes.
Isn't that what he's all about?
Yes.
So
May the
put
Lord
your money
share
where your mouth
burritos.
is. Okay.
Yes. Ah,
I don't know. First Sunday of October. Why not?
I'm into it.
And you mentioned El Cholo. I've been to the El Cholo on Western in Los Angeles, the
Okay.
restaurant. And
Yes.
it does feel, it's one of, some of my favorite restaurants are like, even if the food's not great, but if you feel like you're stepping back in time,
Yes.
the rating goes up like so many stars for me. And
Right.
El Cholo, the food is good though, but it does feel like, oh, this is like a time capsule. And they
Mm.
used to pre-pandemic do one of my favorite things, which was tableside guacamole. If you
Ah,
ever want to
yes.
watch anything tableside is better.
Yes. I agree. I actually just recently had a conversation with another guest that the art of tableside presentation is like a lost art form.
Yeah.
We were talking about their favorite food, which was Caesar salad,
Yes.
which that started off its origin story. No spoilers, tune into that episode.
Okay.
That origin story started off as a tableside made salad, and I couldn't remember the last time I'd ever ordered a Caesar salad. It was prepared in front of me.
Right? I mean, it feels like it's a natural, like, let's do tableside. Like, you could do tableside nachos. You could do tableside, anything that has a lot of fixins, I suppose. You could do an ice
Right.
cream sundae tableside. Like, where's the dessert tablesides?
Oh, this is okay, so these are
Fried
excellent
rice?
ideas. Yeah, well, would you consider like the whole kind of hibachi show? Would that kind of
That's
be
true. That's true.
like
But
at
if you
a
put it on
Benihana or
wheels
something?
and make it more dangerous, tips
Yeah.
go up.
Yes, let's add drama. Well, breakfast burritos exploded onto the scene, becoming a fast food darling in the 80s and 90s. McDonald's rolled out their version of the breakfast burrito in late 1980s. By the 1990s, breakfast burritos have become a staple on menus at popular spots like Sonic Drive-In, Hardee's, and Carl's Jr. Fast forward to 2014, and Taco Bell finally joined the breakfast game in style, debuting a menu that proudly featured breakfast burritos. Suddenly, mornings didn't have to suck anymore. Breakfast burritos were there for the busy, the hungover, and the simply hungry, offering comfort in every warm, cheesy bite. Mark, have you sampled any of these breakfast burritos from the fast food spots? And if so, do you have a favorite?
I don't think I have. Because I'm always
Hmm.
like, I live in LA. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually
Right.
get like a good breakfast burrito, usually within like 50 yards of wherever you are. There's like a quality. So I haven't done the fast foodie one. Although there's a chain down here called Home State. They're in flour tortillas, but they do a breakfast taco. But it is essentially a breakfast burrito. It's just not wrapped up, but it's essentially it's soft, white flour taco. So that's about it. That's a chain one, but I haven't
Yeah.
dabbled into the, I don't know, talk about if I trust Taco Bell and eggs.
And you don't have to. No, I think these
And I
would
love Taco Bell. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, yeah, Taco Bell, you can still be a sponsor one day.
Please.
But a girl can dream. Yes, you certainly don't have to resort to these if you are
And I
surrounded by
would
an
be resorting
abundance
to
of
let it be known.
right, right. I think, yeah, maybe if it was like a 3 a.m. situation and you just couldn't be bothered to make it yourself and none of these other establishments were open, maybe. But I feel like it's more of a convenient thing for people who are not as blessed to be around such fabulous
Sure.
breakfast
But
burritos.
that is true.
So,
Like a 3 a.m. breakfast, like that's another great thing about the breakfast burrito. I think it's good 24 hours a day. Where I don't know if I would say that
right.
about like a regular, a carne burrito. I don't necessarily,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily don't want that first thing in the morning. Like you kind of want those breakfast flavors, which you work all day.
It's so true. I think breakfast for dinner is one of my most
So good.
enjoyable meals. I love it.
Yeah.
And you can't, yeah, I'm never tired of it. Yes, always accessible. So I fully agree with you. Well, burritos aren't just food. They're pop cultural icons. Apparently, burrito throwing became a thing in movies like Anchorman, where Ron Burgundy found his burrito far too filling and flings it out of the window of his car, hitting a motorcyclist played by Jack Black. And then we have another burrito throwing scene in the movie Pitch Perfect, where the character Bumper throws a burrito out of a moving bus onto Fat Amy, just pumping gas. Then we have the show The Good Place, where in episode Burrito, they come face to face with an all-knowing burrito, which, spoilie, ends up just being the lunch of the judge, played by Maya Rudolph. And celebs, they're just like us. In 2016, iconic singer Adele announced to the Twitterverse, I need to share with you all that I'm eating the best burrito of my life. It is an explosively joyous moment, which garnered 132,000 likes. Mark, have you ever seen any of these scenes from the movies or shows, or remember any other kind of pop cultural moments of your own where burritos kind of take the stage?
I mean, I saw Anchorman and Pitch Perfect. I saw them both once, so I vaguely remember Angry Jack Black. I don't remember this poor fat Amy getting assaulted with a burrito. Also, what a waste of a burrito, you know? What
Yeah,
a
it was
shame.
like a full burrito too.
Right.
I hate food waste.
I know. I haven't played it, but there's the game called, I think it's called where you throw burritos. Like you throw like it's like a people who make exploding kittens. This is not Spawn Con.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, you gotta play Exploding Kitten. Exploding Kittens.
Do I?
It's
Okay.
cute. It's like cute cartoony. It's not like there's no, it's not
Okay.
cool. It's not miserable. It's not a
Okay.
miserable experience.
Okay.
But maybe for the holidays. But I do believe there is
Fun
like
family.
they came up with like a burrito throwing game.
Well, today, burritos are everywhere doing the absolute most. There are sushi burritos, dessert burritos, and burritos so big they should come with a warning label. And the breakfast burrito, still killing the game, now with avocado, hot sauce, and all the extra social media love. From food trucks to gourmet restaurants, burritos continue to evolve, proving that they're not just a dish, they're a lifestyle. They're the Swiss Army knife of food, compact, functional, and ridiculously satisfying. So, Mark, what do you think of the backstory of the burrito? And do you have any final words about breakfast burritos?
I think that's just fascinating that it's like how many other foods. I mean, I guess any bread is kind of like, I think it's the perfect food. I mean, it's always satisfying. Yeah, and it just makes me, I think, in talking about and realizing the play of textures and heat and cool and just everything, it kind of made me realize what I like about food itself. Just like I think you could view all of food entirely through the prism of a breakfast burrito.
How poetic.
Thank you.
Love that. That's beautiful. Another t-shirt. We're opening up a breakfast burrito merch shop.
Open
by
up
Mark
your
Rennie.
TeePublic store, yeah.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining me to talk about your love of breakfast burritos and helping me share its story.
Thank you so much for having me. I love eating breakfast burritos and I even love learning about breakfast burritos. So it's the best of both worlds.
Thanks for watching. You can find links and more info in the description below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. See you next time.